Hey, take a look at what I found. It's kind of like a dollar store version of the Magic 8 Ball, which is kind of where I found it, at the dollar store. But I figured we could use this to help us make some good decisions here in the shop, right? So let's give it a shot and see if it's got the old Magic 8 Ball magic. Even though I'm totally swamped and overloaded, should I buy another project car? Well, you don't argue with the pink cube of destiny. Well, who am I to tempt fate? This is what happens when you shop at the dollar store. You end up with 41 Fords. So this is my dad's car. He picked it up not too long ago. It's a pretty nice car. It's got a flathead V8 in it. This is the 1941 Ford Super Deluxe Business Coupe. It's pretty cool. I'll show you around. Alrighty, folks. Well, I lost some footage of showing you guys the car first, so let me go over that again. This is the 1941 Ford Super Deluxe Business Coupe that my dad bought off Marketplace kind of on a whim. This wasn't really expected. There's the Super Deluxe badge. Pretty neat. It's got a little flathead V8 in it. So I don't really know anything about, these cars, honestly. So I think somebody said it was like a 231, something like that. I don't know. I got to learn a bunch on it. But it's a pretty straight car for what it is. Looks to be fairly original. There's only one problem with the body that I'm aware of, and that's down here on this, I don't even know what you'd call this part of the car, where normally it would be a four-door. So the quarter panel extension, I don't know. Somebody got arts and craftsy with some Bondo on this edge right here, so there'll have to be a patch at some point to kind of fix that side. And then right here, there's a couple little bubbling spots. But other than that, I mean, the car seems solid. I guess this is the business coupe part of the car. They didn't come with rear seats for this model. So the businessmen or women, I guess in 41, it would have all been businessmen. They would have put all their stuff in the back and traveled around doing whatever they did back then. Overall, pretty good. Somebody cut out a little section of the floor. This car had been modified. It used to be a column shift car, and now it's a floor shift car. The transmission on this is not good. It's super vague and crunchy and rough, and it makes all kinds of horrible sounds when you try to drive it. So that's not that great. So I was told it's a 39 transmission. So I'll have to go and try to find a transmission, take them apart, see if I can make one good one or something like that. I think it's maybe like a bearing or a bushing that is totally shot in this thing. But we'll figure that out later on after we can drive it, because the brakes don't work at all in it right now. It's kind of got some jankiness going on. You can use the key, but you can see the headlights down here just like zip tied onto what I'm assuming is the parking brake that I don't want to even try to engage. This is the ignition, so I guess the coil on off, that's weird. Releases the hood. I don't even know what these things do yet. We've got a choke over here. Don't know what that does. I think these are the vacuum wipers. Yeah, got a pretty cool instrument cluster on it. Now, the story that we got on the car was that a 90-year-old gentleman owned it. I don't know if he was the original owner or not. He passed away, and then the wife sold this to the guy that we bought it off of. And apparently he bought the car with big plans for it, and it sat in his garage for over a year. He never did anything. He's got another car. So he sold it to my dad, and then here we sit. I don't have any history on it, but it's got cool stuff. Like the original radio is still here. That's the antenna, which is neat. Like, it just kind of comes on, goes into the roof, and then there's like a little stub up there, that would have a little bit of a larger antenna on it, which I think is pretty cool. Coming over here to the passenger side, we've got a clock, which I don't know what that goo is around there, if that's sealant that has melted out over the years or what, but I'm guessing that doesn't work. This car would have been a 6-volt system from the factory, so it's been converted to 12. I don't want to even try to hook up the radio or any of the other accessories, because they'll just explode if you try to put 12 volts to them. So we'll figure all that stuff out later on. A lot of people gut these stereos out, so I'm hoping that the actual whole stereo unit itself, I guess it'd be a radio, wouldn't it? Not even stereo. So I'm hoping that that whole unit is still in there. Maybe it can be, I don't know, retrofitted or something. But I am glad that it has all of the original stuff up here, and no one has cut this all out for some other aftermarket, stuff, because that looks terrible. But overall, inside of here, it looks pretty good. We've got some water damage. I don't know if this is the original headliner or what. I can't imagine it would be. I was told the seats are, seat covers or redone at some point, whatever. We'll figure it all out, but it's got kind of a janky way to start it. Let's make sure that we're not going to crash. All right, so we're in neutral. Got to turn the key on, turn on the coil, turn on little fuel pump, and she's running. It's so quiet. I never knew that flatheads were so quiet. Yeah, it's just in there purring away. Isn't that thing? Isn't that crazy? You barely hear the thing run. Oil bath air cleaner, I'm guessing. Yeah, I mean, it's just so quiet. So it definitely runs good. It's got a trunk full of parts. I don't know really what's back there. But man, it is nice. So there we go. Now we're off. Yeah, that's it. 3-speed manual. The trunk springs are pretty much toast on it, so they don't offer any help when you're holding it open. So those springs there are just cooked. It has side skirts. Those things look awful on it. They're like fiberglass, and they like stick onto the outside with like friction. They're pretty crazy. Got the little bumperettes and stuff. They're in good shape. Just various odds and ends and stuff. The original column on it. So like I said, this was a column shift car, and then it was converted to the floor shift. So I like the floor shift a lot better. It's kind of cooler, but it just means that I'll have to try to find, the 39 transmission to try to take apart and make one good one. Overall, though, I think it's a pretty solid car. So the brakes need to be addressed first and foremost so we can actually move it around and not die and crash the car and wreck the car. So we'll get it up in the air and see what we got. I think I'll grab our chicken stands. Maybe just one in the back, one in the front. Should be fine. All right, well, let's take a look underneath this thing. I've never seen one. It's pretty cool. The Ford script is, stamped right into the bumper. Pretty neat. Transverse leaf spring, kind of like a Corvette. Again, I don't know much about these things, so whatever information you guys got, you can leave it in the comments, because I sure don't know what it is. We need a new flashlight. This one's almost dead. All right, this thing does ride super cushy. There we go. I watch Mortsky Repair quite a bit, and he's always talking about these type of banjo rear end, parts that he always collects. I don't know what they come out of or what they're used in. I do know that, it uses a torque tube, so the drive shaft is actually enclosed inside of this tube. So it's all enclosed in there, which makes the transmission a super nightmare to get out, according to basically everybody that knows anything about these things. They all say that it's a super huge job to get this little tiny dinky transmission out. Look at the size of that thing. From there to there. Just a little old thing. Well, you can see that it's leaking, so we'll have to address that too, but that'll be at another time. To remove the transmission, from what I'm being told, is that you have to remove the entire rear axle, the entire drive shaft assembly, through this X-frame here, and then you can, start working on removing the transmission. So it's kind of a lot. It's weeping from the rear seal, it looks like, or whatever seal is up in there. I don't know what you guys can see. It's kind of hard. And I don't know anything about these things, so I guess that, I don't know what's inside of there. A trunnion? Who knows? I don't know. I got to get a book and figure it out. We've got a broken wire here. Looks like that's the brake master cylinder. This would be the switch that, you know, pops on the little light when you're out of fluid like we are. Looks like we got just a patched in floorboard right there. I don't know what's going on here. That looks like some booger welds. I don't know what's happening up in here. This has to be some of the professional fabrication that they did in order to make the 4-speed or the 3-speed floor shift work. So they had to cut all this stuff out apparently for that. See the evidence of pop rivets right up in there. Not great to see pop rivets, but I don't think it'll be too hard to fix this thing up. That's the body mount in there. At least the bushing is actually still there. Little body mount isolator. So we'll have to get this one's, these are totally crushed on this side. Looks like we got a wood screw in there. It's kind of hard to get my camera up in there. Yeah, it looks like maybe a wood screw in there. These body mounts are totally trashed. I guess they're body mounts, or would they be just running board mounts? I don't know. I don't think they'll be very hard to source though. There's a little piece of rubber. So that's what we got going on here. Yeah, I mean, the rest of it, we got a little bit of rust going on here, but no big, huge problems so far. Let's see. You guys are seeing this for the first time along with me. The wheel wells are pretty dry up in there. I don't see any major issues. These are the shocks. Aren't those things weird? Kind of like how a Volkswagen works. I don't know a ton about these older cars, so I don't know if this is like an ultra common thing that they did back then or not, but this is the shock linkage and all that goes up into this weird oil-filled, I don't know what you want to call it, damper. I guess it's a damper more than a shock. I'm not sure. If you guys know, leave it in the comments. We got more rust here. Not a big deal though. These are all flat panels, so at least it's easy to fix. So we'll get in there and start messing around with that at another time. This looks super duper easy to repair, so that's nice. Little Purelator branded clicky clack fuel pump. I'm not a big fan of these things, but I guess they work, so we'll leave it there until it dies. Got a lot of oil weeping, so it's kind of gross. And this transmission has some type of a super weird growl going on inside of it that we can't really figure out. We got the kind of shock deals up in the front too. Check them out. They're kind of neat. Bump stops are wasted. Look at those things. Yeah, so the transmission kind of growls. It's weird. It has like I don't know, it doesn't sound like a chipped tooth, doesn't sound like a throwout bearing. It might be like a bearing or a bushing on a shaft that's maybe galled, and it's just, I don't know, it's so weird. I'll see if I can show you guys later once we get it fixed. Look at all the undercoating or whatever this is. Oh, there we go. We can see some of the oil or tar or whatever these things are filled with, I guess, oozing out. I'll have to do some research and find out what what is what on these things. I'm going to try to do a dual circuit master cylinder modification on this, because the single circuit ones, which is what this is, that little hole right there, a little thing, little cap, right underneath that is the way that you fill these single circuit master cylinders. So kind of we got the problem like what we have right now, where, you know, this wheel cylinder here has went out, obviously, and the entire system is now down. So there are no brakes on the entire car because of that one wheel cylinder. So looks like it's up there at the top. I could not find an actual wheel cylinder replacement for it, so I bought these kits, WCK 35108. So this is a master cylinder rebuild kit, not master cylinder, wheel cylinder. And then I just got this little hone because I don't have one. Usually on all the cars that I work on, it's cheaper to just buy replacement wheel cylinders than it is to even buy that $20 tool. So anyway, inspect these things right quick and see if they're super damp. This one looks like we potentially have a problem. Unfortunately, there are no wheel cylinders available for the front that I was able to get in time. So I can't even do anything with the front of this right now. So I'll have to pull this off. It does look like the wheel cylinder is leaking. And they're different sizes. They're 1 1/8 in the back, and I think they're 1 1/16 up front or something like that. If you know anything about these cars, please let me know in the comments, because I sure don't, and I would love to learn. Other than that, this one looks good. Brake lines, rubber hoses rather, they look good. I guess this one's leaking too. This shock, maybe they're rebuildable, I don't know. So it looks like we got this side. This side looks pretty clean, I guess. Yeah, it's not super wet. This side looks good. So anyway, we're gonna get cracking on this one since it's the worst, and get the tire off of it, kind of go from there. One thing that I would like to address maybe later is cutting this exhaust off. It just looks too long. It's just weird looking. I don't know. It just kind of doesn't fit the vibe of the car. It's kind of got this cool look. And then maybe cut it about halfway, kick it back a little bit. I think that'd look kind of cool. ADD, man. We're working on brakes. Back to the brakes. As far as the stands go, these things might not be in the optimal position, but you know, it'll help with the back and forth. It's on the lift solid, so it's not going anywhere. These are kind of just more for my peace of mind than anything, but I don't think that these are the right way to use them. But it works. Kind of looks like there's some silicone on here, some RTV. I don't know how to take these off. I'm assuming that it just comes off as one unit. Take off this nut here. It doesn't look like it separates anywhere. So it looks like the drum and this, I'm guessing this is like a full floating axle. And we have to just take the whole, this is like got the bearings in it too. So I don't know. I guess we'll just take it off and see what we come up with. Well, the good old days don't necessarily translate to the automotive world. This is the puller that we need in order to get this brake drum off to change our wheel cylinder. This was an all-day epic odyssey of many twists and turns in order to find this old school puller. It's a little bit bigger than we need, but this is the one that we need in order to get this off. It's a full floating axle and it's a tapered axle. So this entire drum and bearing assembly is tapered. It fits on like a press fit almost, and you have to pop it loose with a big old dog like this. So now, after getting this part that is super hard to find, we can actually get the drum off and work on the brakes. All right, the light might not be the best right now. We'll try to do something about that. The mosquitoes are fierce tonight. It is insane. And tomorrow and the next day, we've got 2 more days of rain. So whatever. It's kind of hard to film out here with all of the rain because it's got a steel roof. It gets really loud. But anywho, we'll get by. We're just going to tighten these things up on here. Man, this thing weighs a ton. The older gentleman that loaned me this tool also says that he has another transmission for this car. Hopefully that all works out, and we'll have a donor trans to take apart and hopefully fix the one that we've got. All right, well, apparently on these, you hit these big, I don't know, dogs or whatever on the end, and it breaks that loose. That being the case, I don't know about this. 1941, these brake pads might be asbestos. I don't know if they've ever been changed or when, so I should probably put a mask on. All right, it's been several days. I had to wait on a bunch of parts, so let me show you what I got. I got all these brake parts from a place called Midwest Early Ford. There's their website. Website's kind of hit or miss, so give them a call. They'll have what you need. Guy's really cool. So he talked me all through it and everything. These are right and left fronts, right and left rears, all good. I did order a dual circuit master cylinder conversion kit with the adapter. They were more than reasonable compared to other prices online. I also got some new brake hoses. So I think we're all good there. Just got to get to it. The right front has started leaking. Right rear is the one that was leaking before. The left still looked dry, but you know what? It is what it is. So we'll get cracking, get these brakes all done, and hopefully we can drive it around. There's our fender right there. This thing was popped out. Yeah, so maybe the wheel cylinder is stuck. You know, the little piston in there is stuck. Blew that out. Who knows what the deal is? It is soaked. Got lots of meat on the shoes, so that's pretty nice. They're a little gross. They are completely saturated in brake fluid. So I do think I'm gonna have to run up to the parts store and get some more. Wow, is there supposed to be a seal in there? Maybe that's our problem. Yeah, maybe there's a seal in here and it's just smoke. This isn't brake. Well, it'd have to be brake fluid because the brakes are wasted. So I don't know. I'll have to ask some people what the story is. If I had to guess, though, there's a seal in there that's shot, but it's got like a little container on it to like catch all the grease. I don't know. It's not super deep, so whatever's going on, it's not like overflowing out of here. This is weird. I've never seen anything like this. Interesting that both brake shoes, you know, the liners, are the same length. Usually they're longer on the outside. Whatever. So cool. Anyways, I'm gonna have to go up and get some more. Look at, that's crazy now that I start thinking about it. There's nothing in this compared to you know, current drum brake technology. There's springs and, you know, parking brakes and wires and levers and, you know, all kinds of stuff going on. This is like as simple as it gets. Pretty crazy. Well, I went up and bought a whole bunch more of these because it's so soaked with fluid, brake fluid. Apparently, according to O'Reilly's, this is a new formula of brake clean. They said it doesn't work as good. I don't know. Some people said it doesn't work as good. But whatever, I guess we'll find out. All right, on the back side here, let's see if we can crack this thing loose without breaking it off completely. That'd be terrible. Hey, there we go. That moved. Good news. All right, we're gonna try 1/2 inch. Yep, that's the ticket. 1/2 inch. This actually comes apart easier than almost everything that I own. This car isn't in bad shape, so that's nice. All right, got the brake line off. Just had to finish unthreading that. See, right there. Let's finish unthreading that. And here's our culprit. I do have rebuild kits for these. I'm just not going to use them right now because we've got those brand new ones. Check that thing out. Wagner Lockheed. Made in the USA. We'll save that one for sure. Take a look at these rears. See which one is for the left. Look at that. When was the last time you saw something wrapped in wax paper? Like crazy. That's some old school stuff right there. So, not the right one. So this has to be it. Yep. So that's the right one right there. Go ahead and get this thing on. All right, got some brake parts lube. Just put some up here. I know probably a lot of people are like, oh man, you're doing it all wrong or whatever. Feel free to let me know in the comments how you do it. You know, I always try to challenge myself. There we go. So we got the spring out. That'll help a lot. I'll get another split washer for this. Some people hate those split washers and say they don't do anything, but whatever. It came on there, so I'll put it back on. I'm pretty sure Mortsky has a vendetta against these split washers. Says that they're just garbage and they don't work, and it's proven that they don't work. I don't know. Maybe he's right. Let me know in the comments. Are split washers actually good, or are they trash? I'm not an engineer, so I don't know. Yeah, shout out to Midwest Early Ford for having these parts on the shelf. And for a reasonable price. Thank goodness, too, 'cause I didn't know where to look for them. There we go. That's tight. Everything's tight. We'll crack the bleeders in a bit. This whole system is totally out of brake fluid. So now we'll just try to figure out how to get this spring back on. Hang on for a minute. Genius idea right there, right? There we go. I guess this side is actually done, right? Whatever. Well, the new, newer style drum brakes have all of the self-adjusting levers and whatnot. These, I'm pretty sure, are the adjustments for these brakes. Probably like an eccentric nut on the other side and, like a cam, and you would turn these, you'd loosen up the jam nut and then turn those little slotted bolts, I guess, if you will, and it probably turns a cam and spreads these things out. If I just had to guess, I don't know. Never worked on one of these. Anyhow, let's clean these things up, take a look at the brake drum, and then stick it back together. I know I said I was worried about asbestos before, which is a valid concern on an old car. Excuse me like this, but I'm pretty sure that these have all been changed out. Now, one thing I did see, which is kind of unusual for me to see, because I don't know about these old cars, is the friction material or the shoes on these older ones. They sell a kit where you rivet it right on yourself. You could buy like a whole tool to rivet the pads on, or the shoes, and I guess you have to rivet them together yourself. These look like they're glued on, so who knows where they came from. All right, so just looking inside, these drums look pretty good. They're not super corroded or anything like that. Everything looks good. So I don't know how long ago these things were changed out. You can see the bearings inside of there. Those one bearing. Man, look how long those rollers are. Things are huge. So there's your axle seal. Looks like it's in good shape. So, yeah, split ring up in here. Wow. Interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and pack this thing with a little bit more grease. Some old school multi-purpose Valvoline. Clean these things up pretty good. Look at that. There's just so much brake fluid inside of here. So go ahead and clean them up and then reinstall them. All right, well, you can see we got our key there, and here's our key right in there. So took our puller off. We don't need that anymore. I think we're good. There's a little seal here. I don't know what the deal is. It was pretty destroyed. I'm assuming it has to go there, and that's why there's a bunch of RTV there. So we'll go ahead and try to clean that up while we're here. All right, so that's it. I think this is... It almost feels like it's cork. So I don't know. It seems like it goes into place all right. And what's it going to do? Leak a little bit of grease over whatever? A couple months. Slap our washer back on. Our nut. There's probably an actual torque spec for this. I have to look it up. Brakes are dragging just a little bit like they should. So that's good. Holy cow. 190 to 200 foot-pounds. That's crazy. Yeah, I've seen this a couple of places. 41 Ford, 250 foot-pounds. This one says like around 200 foot-pounds. Whatever. That's nuts. Ford barn. 195 foot-pounds. Holy cow. 195 foot-pounds. This is crazy. These are tight. Well, I don't even know if I have a torque wrench that'll get that high. We'll see. They certainly weren't that high when I took them off. Well, it really is 190 foot-pounds or whatever. So I looked up the actual torque spec for a 5/8 bolt, which is what the actual axle shaft here is. It's 5/8. And I think that was 180 foot-pounds or something like that is what the like the max torque is for that. So my torque wrench only goes to 150 foot-pounds. So we're gonna have to get on this thing and just hang off of it and see how tight we can get it. My shoulders still hurt from that, for working on that hood. And this is tapered, so it makes my little bar want to slip. So I don't want to ruin the threads on here. So I guess we'll just try putting some of the nuts back on it. Hope for the best. I don't think I can get it as high as they want. Not with my shoulder all screwed up. There we go. Man. Kind of think it's my rotator cuff. Now I don't know where the keyway is. I think we're going to have to call it good at 150. I don't think I could pull it around one more of these lugs. I just don't think I got the beans. There we go, 150 foot-pounds. Perfect. Guess we'll go do the front now. Before we do the front, I need to cut some grass. We're getting some rain coming in, like usual. So, I'll get that done, and then we'll get back onto this. All right, well, the grass is cut. Looks like this right here is threaded on. So, I sprayed it with a little bit of WD. Try to put the bar in here. See if we can break this thing loose. Yeah, easy. Guess there's another castle nut inside with a cotter pin. We'll see. I've never seen one of these. I've never worked on one, nothing. So you're learning, or you're watching me. The first time I've ever seen any of it. Well, this all looks pretty new. I don't know why the wheel cylinders are leaking. That looks like a brand new cotter pin. Check it out. So I don't know if somebody was in here just recently or whatever, but it's a bummer that they didn't, change out the wheel cylinders, because now we're stuck doing it. Well, unfortunately, I have no history at all on the car, so there's nothing I can learn about it or do about it. If you guys know of any websites or anything, I don't know how you'd look up the history on a car by their VIN or something like that. I don't know if that's only something that police can do. I don't even know if they can do it. Unless they have like a reason. I don't know. Well, this wasn't very tight either. So I don't know what the deal is. This wasn't very tight. Got to find out if I even have a wrench that'll go this big. I don't even know what size it is. Looks like 1.25 inches or something. Talk about a lucky guess. 1.25 inches. That's the one. Good old authentic Timken right there. I don't know if this is like a reproduction or whatever, but that's Ford. Made in the USA. Timken 121, I don't know, 6 it looks like. Whatever that is, I can't hardly. I'm looking through the camera. But man, Ford labeled bearing. Maybe this is an original. Who knows? Oh man, look at that. That's gross. This thing is totally smoked. I mean, I'm sure it's fine, but look at all the crud in it. Nasty. Oh man, this is like total sludge. Well, this newfangled brake clean still finds every cut you've got. They say it's supposed to be more environmentally friendly. That's what they told me anyway. Less toxic or whatever. That's supposed to be why a lot of the O'Reillys were out of their brake cleaner for a long time. They were changing the formula. Well, same deal as before. Break the line loose on the back, take the wheel cylinder off, take the spring out, and then we'll see what it looks like then. Gotta figure out what size that is. 5/8, potentially 5/8. It is 5/8. This must not be a 5/8. It's something else, but it's awfully tight, and I don't have a ton of wrenches. We might have to go up to a metric size. Well, I just got home from running a bunch of errands. It's dark outside right now, but we still have this one brake hose to do, so I'm going to lower the car down so we can get to that one hard line on the inside, disconnect that thing, and then we can get this rubber line out right here. Okay, well, this will be a lot easier. That's it right there. So thankfully old flatheads here make nice little stands. So yeah, it's got a new brake line on it, or at least newer. Still got the tag on it. I think this is gonna be a two-hand job, and I don't have anywhere to sit you guys. I did disconnect or loosen the brake hose off camera. I need to squirt a little bit of lube on it, and then this clip here, it's like pretty standard stuff. This clip pops off and pop it straight up. Yeah, you can take that out, and then you know, that holds the brake hose in. So the brake hose, which this little ferrule and end is on, comes through here. Then this little clip holds it in place on this little tab. Then your brake line screws into it. So that's all there is to it. So I'm gonna sit you down. Not a ton of room for you guys in here. So I'm just gonna crack this thing loose. Everything should be good. I'll show you when we're done. I hate to admit defeat, but I'm defeated. All right, so here's the deal. Whoever put that fitting on, I don't know, man. Hulk strength, I'm not exactly sure. It is seized on. You can see I've had vice grips on it, locking pliers, whatever you want to call them. This line right here is 100% locked into that fitting. So it's just ruining the fitting. The fitting is basically ruined, period. I had a torch on it. I heated this thing up to cherry red, the little, clip. Had the vice grips on it, vice grips everywhere. I've done everything I can. It's rounded off. It's terrible. So the only thing I can do is replace this whole line that goes under the engine, over here, back around wherever it disappears to, and back there to the master cylinder. So that's my plan. I'm gonna just replace that whole front line. The line should actually be replaced on this thing anyway. I've got those two fronts, so the hoses and stuff need to go to that. This is a single circuit master cylinder thing. I think I've told you guys that. So realistically, it needs to be changed anyhow. If I want to do the dual circuit master upgrade, all of this stuff has to be gone through anyhow. So maybe I'll just be doing that upgrade sooner than later. Sooner than later, meaning probably tomorrow. Yeah, there was a bunch of other stuff that I had to do, but I can't really do that with this thing on the lift, and I need to get it off the lift. And the only way for me to get it off the lift is to do the brakes. So we have to go buy stuff and make lines tomorrow. So, see you then. All right, well, it's a new day today. I just got back from the parts store, and I think I got what we need. All right, here's our wheel cylinders. I believe it's 3/8 input right there by 24. And we got some 3/16 nycop and some 1/4" nycop and all of the associated little fittings and stuff. So finding the 1/4" by 3/8 by 24 wasn't easy, but you know, they had it. If I remember what I read, the back half of the car is 3/16 brake line. The front half is 1/4". So we got the 1/4" there, got the fittings, got everything. We should have enough to do the dual circuit master cylinder conversion as well. So there's nothing left to do but to do it. So let's go. All right, so I just cut the brake line here with my cutoff wheel. You know, pulled the clip, and then the brake hose just fell down on the inside there. So whatever, I'll just disconnect it from the wheel cylinder. It'll pull right out, and I'll put the new one in. Then it goes around the front. You can see a little clip right there where this line hooks onto the frame rail, or this cross member. It goes underneath the front of the engine. Check out the distributor. Pretty neat, right? Comes over here behind it, another clip right there. Check out those horns. Pretty sweet, right? So yep, then it goes over here, and as you can see, there's like a T right there, like a little junction right down in here. So the fluid comes in this way, hits this little junction. Part of it goes over here to this wheel, and then the rest of it continues on over to the other side. So we're going to try to save that junction. I'm assuming that we need it. And then the brake line continues on back there. So anyways, I'll go ahead and get it up in the air, you know, see if we can access this brake line easier from underneath and get it done. Yeah, quite a bit easier to access from down here. That's what we cut off. You can see. Oops, just how gnarled up that thing was. There we go. Fixed. So here's the brake line. Way easier to access down here. And we go over here to this other side. It's kind of up there somewhere. I don't know. I guess it's not so easy to access from under here. That line up there, I can't hardly get to it. But if we go back here, we can see there's the line again under there. Comes back here to our crusty old master cylinder that we're going to replace. So coming out of there, I don't know where the brake line goes. Oh, through here somewhere. There it is, to a rubber line right there. So there, through this, I don't know, X member, whatever it is in the center, back to this hose. This one looks actually basically new. So I don't see any cracks or anything, but we got a new one. And then back here, again, to another T, and then off to the rears. So this line looks halfway decent. It's kind of crusty, but we're just going to do the master cylinder and see kind of how far we can get on that. You can see somebody cut the floor out already, so hopefully it goes pretty smooth. I don't know. Never worked on one of these things. The front's kind of a pain. You can see how greasy and gross it is, so I might put on a hat just so I'm not disgusting. Then we'll get her done. All right, some things I'll be able to show you. Other things you're just going to have to take my word for it on. This shield right here just kind of covers up part of the exhaust where it's like a splash guard. Unfortunately, some of the clips that hold the brake line on are up here, so they're almost impossible to get to from the top, and there's no place for a big camera like what I've got. I'm just using like a phone, so it's not really a good way. This is a really narrow front end. So I'm going to take this thing down. I'm going to show you what I got happening, and then as far as the brake line stuff goes, I don't know if I'll even be able to position you guys in a good spot. All right, you can kind of see that clip there. All right, that's what I got to get to. The shield's in the way. Looks like it's pretty bent, torn too. There's one over here too, right up in there. Got to get to that. It's a little bit more open. And then this, you know, that T that I showed you on this side, I can't get to that unless the vehicle is down. Then we got to kind of mess around over here. So look at that old school wiring loom. Wild. Anyway, I'm going to do this off camera because there's really nothing to see. You can't see anything. And then we'll try to match up some of this line once I get it out. All right, we'll take this thing off, spring, if we can. Holy cow, that thing is tight. All right. Well, these things are just like chewing right into the brake line. Is that even supposed to be there? So I don't know. That doesn't it doesn't look like a great idea. Single circuit brake system with a piece of baling wire chewing into the line. I don't know. So is this supposed to be like a legit deal? I don't know. My light dead. I gotta plug it in. All right. I gotta lower this thing down. You can't see it, but this brake line right here where it goes into that T, that thing needs to be held from the top and then unscrewed from the bottom. 5/8 fitting. So anyway, that's what I'm doing now. All right, well, these horns are pretty cool and whatnot. I don't know if you can tell, but they're kind of large and they're right in the way of where I need to be. So there's that fitting that I need to get to. Horns are in the way. Whoever had this before just butt spliced the horn power right together. So just goes right into here. And then there's another just butt splice. Just hanging out there. Super awesome wiring job. We definitely want to fix that. But I'm going to have to cut this thing and then, get in here and rewire it afterwards because I have to get these things off so I can get to that without breaking everything. But the horns are out. Check those dogs out, man. These things are huge. They sound cool, though. With those out of the way, we have so much more room for activities. Look, we can actually get to that thing now. Yeah. Man, I would sure love to have a cameraman. Alright, that's not doing anything but ruining stuff. So, if I put any torque on it, you can see it's bending the lines up. So, hopefully we can... Man, I really need another person. Ugh, I don't have anybody else. So, maybe we can lay this thing on the frame rail. Like, yeah. Yeah, believe so. Now I can get in here on the inside and crack this thing loose. Another 5/8 thing for the hose. And I think we're good. There we go. This thing is terrible. So, eating right into the brake hose too. And it's ultra stiff. So, not the best thing in the world for one of these. All right, well, we got our little crush washer, little copper washers here. This is like a little banjo type fitting, what I sort of expected. It's got a hole there, it passes through to the top, and that's how your fluid goes around in there. As far as this thing goes, I think our line going back here is fine. We just have to hold this thing straight. Let me get rid of this before I lose it. There we go. My biggest fear right now is just working around this car and brake fluid, because brake fluid is basically kryptonite to paint. There we go. I bought this new little wrench today. I was hoping it would come in handy. Got a little, swivel on it. And there we have it. We're going to take it out through the bottom though, just because I don't want to splash brake fluid all over this car. Dang, wasps are crazy. There we go. Oh, that struggle for that thing. Whatever though. Alright, so that's crazy. It's all like tar or something. I don't know. It's like a pack of leaf springs inside of there. It's insane. So anyway, I'm going to try to get up underneath here and figure out how to disconnect our linkage and stuff for the master cylinder. See how I can even make that work. Mock it all up. Once I got a good idea, and I'll show you guys. There's no sense in just wasting tons of time because I don't know what I'm doing. So as far as this goes, this is a 1/4 inch front line. This is NiCop, nickel copper alloy line. As you can see, it bends super easy. Ghost! No, it's just super windy today. The Nycop's awesome if you're trying to make new lines. The steel stuff is just way too hard to manage. So we're just going to rough this thing in the best that we can. Remember, I got to leave it a little bit long because I did cut it. I do have a bender around here somewhere. Alright, we're going to try to save my knees. So what we're going to do here is just tape the ends, or tape the end right here. That'll give us a little something to hang on to whenever you're making new lines. And this doesn't have to be 100% exact. Actually, I'm going to give myself even more room. Better to have a lot too much than a little too little. So we'll go ahead and wrap this thing up. There we go. Pretty much perfect. Needs a little bit of fine tuning, but once you get the tape on there, then it kind of just holds it in place. Cut it around in there. Looks like I can still use this fitting here. The other one is wasted, so we can cut it here, fish it all up into there, trim it to fit, and we're good to go. Well, all right, I'm not really the right person to show anybody how to use one of these cheap flaring tools. I hate these things, but we have to make a flare for this line. These flares are the most stressful part of a brake job for me, because I suck at doing these. This one looks pretty good though. There we go. Spins free. Spins free. Yeah, I think this will work. Well, once you've seen one wheel cylinder, you've kind of seen them all. There's really not a whole lot of difference between them. Just remember that whether it's a wheel cylinder or a caliper, the bleeders always go up. So that's the way it would go. I'm going to go ahead and do all 4 of these real quick, or the remaining 3, and knock those things out, and then we'll get to installing the lines and the hoses. Well, alrighty, I got the lines on-ish. They're just kind of sitting in there. Nothing fancy. They're just sitting in their little spot. But they are connected to the wheel cylinders down in here. There we go. A little bit easier to see. So the wheel cylinders are on. As you can see, there's not a lot of room back in here, but they're tight. Don't forget your copper crush washers. And the other side is the same. There's a lot of cleaning, a lot of dirtiness in these, as you saw from before. But yeah. Basically the same deal. This thing is just sitting in here waiting for the hard line. Wheel cylinder is on. New crush washer right there. So everything is done in the front, so we'll lower it down and try to connect up the hard lines. All right, well, let's see how I did with the lines. Oh yeah, looking good. Yeah, they're almost right on the money right there. So I did put the clips back on down in yeah. So that thing's on. That one's good. Nice job on that. This side, kind of a little bit too long. Well, all right, first potential issue right here. That is the master cylinder. See, it's the wiring for it. I guess that's like the brake switch to tell you if you're out of fluid or whatever. Not a big deal. This goes to the front. This goes to the back right here. It's another one of those T's like we saw up front. That's not the problem. The problem is this support right there for the new master cylinder. So we come over here. I don't know if you've ever seen any of the newer master cylinders, but they only use 2 bolts on either side to hold them on. This one has 3, little triangle type shape, and there we go. and it's tied up to that to a little cross member deal. That plug right there is the hole that I showed you on the floor where you'd normally check and pour in the fluid and stuff, goes down in the top of this thing. Okay, so here we are. We've got this cross member thing up there, right? Okay. So this is the adapter that I got with the master cylinder conversion kit. This one, beefy though, man, like inch thick plate. Thing's awesome. So, I mean, this is all well and good, okay? But what I've seen for all of these conversion kits that I've seen, they would have one of these little triple, triangle shaped things with a tube coming off of it. So like a piece of pipe, because your push rod needs to go through it, right? And then actuate the thing. So it has a piece of pipe. I'll just throw that on the ground. Coming off of it here to about, let's say there, and then having a 2-bolt adapter on it. So it'd be like maybe 6 inches long or something like that. All right, so with that adapter, it would put the master cylinder like out here-ish, kind of away from that cross member, or whatever you want to call that thing. If I try to put in the way that it is, the bales on the top of this will essentially hit the top of that cross member. So this thing would be jammed right up there against the floor. You wouldn't even be able to check the fluid or anything. So I have to wait until Monday. Of course, it's Friday, and I just noticed this now, so I'll have to wait. I don't know if they're open on Saturday. Probably not, but maybe they are. I'll have to call them and find out, hey, you guys sent me this adapter kit, and I don't know how I'm supposed to adapt it. I mean, surely they don't want me to cut out one of the floor supports, or whatever support this is, little frame support, just to put in a master cylinder kit when all of the other kits that are sold have that spacer in it. So I'm not really sure. So we have to wait to find out on that. So I guess the only thing left to do right now is this one rear wheel cylinder, because we're kind of held up now due to the weird thing. I suppose I could try to make one, but that defeats the purpose of me buying it. All right, so I was walking up the house all defeated, feeling bad, all of that stuff, and I made an executive decision. We're not going to do the dual circuit master cylinder upgrade right now. We'll do it later on. For one thing, I'll make another video out of it, and it'll be a shorter video. This one's probably getting pretty long. Secondly, there's nothing wrong with the master cylinder that's in this car right now. It was just the wheel cylinders that were bad. We solved that problem. I put new ones in, so everything should work fine. I don't yet know if the transmission is totally shot in this thing, so maybe we can't even drive it around, but at least I'll have brakes to pull it in and out or whatever. And then I can at least pull in some stuff that need to go up on the hoist, like my Jeep, my Dodge, some other stuff. I can kind of get this thing down, start working on some other stuff. Anyway, that's the plan. So tomorrow we will finish up this one last wheel cylinder, wrap up the car, fill it up with fluid, bleed the brakes, out the door it goes, and we'll get into something else. So that's the plan. I feel better about it. I'll call that company. We'll get it all sorted out. Maybe that master cylinder adapter kits for like a truck, something like that. Who knows? Anyway, we'll worry about all of that stuff later. Till then, I'll see you tomorrow. All right, rear wheel cylinder is on, tires on, axle nut is torqued. Same over here. Everything is good there. We just have the front to do, but everything is basically reassembled. You just have to attach some lines. If you remember, I think the other side, this little tab here was missing, the little lock. So I found one in my stash. I had to look around forever for it because these are now special order at the parts stores. Yeah, these used to just hang on a rack. You'd go in there and you'd buy them. I've bought bunches of them, but now these things are special order. And they're like $7 for 2 of them. It's crazy. Anyway, thankfully I had one. Just got to go snap it onto the other side, tighten up these lines a little bit, and then we'll be ready for some fluid. All right, well, I bought 2 new copper washers, which my hands are probably in the way, my arm. So 2 new copper washers. You definitely want to get new copper washers when you're doing this stuff. So just put it on the outside, on the inside. There we go. There we go. Nice and snug. Think we're solid up here. Yeah, we're just going to try to fill it with fluid. I got a couple of bolts here I need to tighten down, so remind me to tighten those down. So we're in the home stretch now. All right, so down in here, get our screwdriver, pop that open, and we'll see if we can see down in there. And there's the cap. All right, got some pliers. I don't actually know how this comes out. I'm assuming it turns, but it feels like it's like plastic or rubber or something. That's the way it goes. There we go. I think we got it. All right. So there it is. This will be fun to get back in. How are we looking in there? Gross? Of course it is. But there's nothing we can do about that. New master cylinder. I'll have to find out about that. Today's Saturday. I did call the place to see if they were open. Of course, they're not because it's the weekend. And then I'll give them a call on Monday. Like I said, I think they just sent us the wrong kit, but we'll find out for sure. You can't really see down in there because, it's a hole in the floor. So I'm going to fill this thing up with fluid. I've got the back bleeders broke loose, and hopefully it'll gravity bleed to some extent, and then we'll go ahead and put the little vacuum pump deal on it, go around the car, and hopefully we'll get a pedal out of it. All right, so back bleeders broke so we can bleed the back brakes. Yeah, say that a bunch. Back bleeders broke loose so we can bleed the back brakes. Well, it looks like we're pretty much up to the top. It's like almost impossible to see down inside of here, even for me. I guess we'll... Hey, we're getting something. I was going to say, if this master is cooked and the guy didn't tell me, I would have been kind of bummed out because, it's not like I would have been mad and we wouldn't have bought the vehicle. Oh, I can hear fluid pouring out on the ground, I think. All right, so we've got some dampness up in here. So that means I forgot to tighten these, which I do recall. I recall not recalling. I also saw that on the other side, it's a little bit wet here too. So we are pumping fluid. Yeah, see, we got some good fluid movement here. Oh, I didn't do anything to this one. Still can't believe they set a 4-day, order on these little brake line clips, little C-clips. Like, seriously? They don't use these things anymore? That they can't even stock like 5 or 6 of them? Well, I got to get a wrench on there, but I think that should be good enough for now. I mean, it's bleeding brakes. It's not really the most exciting thing to see, even on a really cool video. So I'm gonna just kind of get it done, and then we'll see what it's like afterwards. Okay, well, my neighbor came by and helped me bleed the brakes. He was up there in the car. He didn't really want to be on camera, so I can appreciate that. So anyways, we got the brakes bled the best that we could, whatever. They seem like they're okay. Everything looks dry, so let's take a look. All right, we got a little bit of just brake clean and whatever random stuff, but we're dry up there at the top. We're dry at the top of this wheel cylinder. All the lines are good. I don't know. I need to check the level inside the axle there. Put a little bit of gear oil in it. We're dry up on this one. We're dry on that one. Everything looks good all up in here. Everything's dry. Nice. I don't think I'm going to put those springs on there. I don't know if that's legit or not. I got to do a couple little odds and ends. So I'm going to zip those things on. Then we might be able to take it for a quick little spin in the yard, see what that transmission's like. Other than that, I'll have to wait because we're looking at like 5 straight days of rain here in Michigan. So like usual, the rain is always a hindrance. So let me get this thing done, and we'll see if we can take it out. All right, well, I broke loose this nut right here, or this plug, fill plug. Oh, we got trans gear oil. That's full. I actually didn't expect to find anything in there. What is that? Look at that. That's gross. But, you know, now I know that whatever's wrong with the transmission isn't because it's low on fluid right now. It might have been low on fluid at one point, gear oil, but that isn't the case now. She's full up. Maybe a little bit too full. But whatever. We'll go out. We can't take it out on the road because, you know, the tires are wasted. We got no plates yet. So anyhow, let's clean up. All right, we'll take it out real quick before it gets dark, which is fast approaching. So we'll see what we can do. First, we got to move the big dog. If you're new to the channel, this is my 1984 Dodge D150. There's an entire build playlist on the channel if you want to check that out. It's got a 40 overbuilt 360 in it. Edelbrock heads, decent cam, roller conversion, stock lower end, but balanced to within a half a gram. It's pretty nice. It does all right. It's not like super over the top. It's got a sniper on it, so it's pretty good. And then did the hood. That was in a previous video. You can check that out if you're interested in it. But we'll get this thing out of the way. See what the old Ford's like. Got a couple of other projects on the channel that we're playing with. That one's going to be probably next up. Getting a southern body and cab for that. Well, I guess the body is the whole thing, right? It's a pretty good truck. 96 F-150. Runs good, drives good. It's just been rolled over. That's a project. We'll get into it another time. The rest is a secret. All right, well, hopefully the camera doesn't bounce around too much. I don't have like an awesome setup for it or anything. So apparently ignition on, this thing, that. And now she's running, but I don't know how to shut the wiper off. Oh, there we go. There's the wiper. Probably vacuum wipers, I'm guessing. Anyway. Oh, I guess it would help if I could see. All right, brakes work. There we go. I don't know, it's pretty dark out. All right, here we go. Oops. You can't find them, grind them. All right, we're cruising. This thing does not sound awesome. Oh, you hear that? Oops. Man, this 4-speed or 3-speed sloppy. I was told that it's like super vague to shift, so this is the first time I've really driven it. Got a vacuum leak somewhere, it sounds like. Sounds like a vacuum leak somewhere. Hear a little psh. So here we are banging around in the 41 Ford. This thing needs some help. And that trans is not loving life. Ooh. She's bad. Alright, well, here we go. Well, second gear isn't quite as bad. We're chugging pretty hard. Hey, we got synchros for second. All right, so here we are. I can smell it getting warm. Chokes in. Brake check done. All right. So that's our first ride in the 41 Ford. My first ride in anyway, other than driving it out here in the shop. Transmission is all over the place. I don't even know what half of these knobs do. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's cool. So that's it. Brake job on a 41 Ford. I guess we'll be doing a transmission in it pretty soon. I don't know. We'll figure it all out. It's got a sweet Hurst shifter knob. Well, there we go. Basically, my first drive with you guys in the 41 Ford. Other than just pulling it out here and putting on the hoist, lift, whatever, Mortski, pudding. I don't know anything really about this car, so we're learning together as we go. One thing is, it needs a transmission. So I've got a line on a couple of other old transmissions that are kind of basically parts units. So hopefully I can get a hold of those and we can cobble together like one good one out of the ones that I can potentially get. I don't even know for sure if I can get them. But anyways, we got a 41 Ford. So expect more content on that. I don't really know what I'm doing on them. I'm not used to working on cars like this. So let me know in the comments below if you got any handy tips that I need to know about. And that's it. So basically, we're going to be doing that. We got 5 days of rain coming up, and I got a ton of other stuff to get done in the meantime, so I kind of rushed this one out the door because I've got brakes on a couple of my like dailies and stuff that I need to get done. Plus, this place is a mess now. Good times. So I hope you like the content. Welcome to all of the new subscribers. Hope you like the other content on the channel. There's the truck, the Jeep. The Jeep was a pretty big basket case mess, so you might enjoy watching that playlist too. So yeah, welcome to everybody. And if you're not already subscribed, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, all that stuff, and expect some more 41 Ford content in the future. Anyway, that's all I got for you now. I got to get cracking on a bunch of other work, so thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.